Muscles of facial expression: frontal belly, occipital belly, orbicularis oculi, orbicularis oris, buccinator, zygomaticus major, zygomaticus minor, depressor anguli oris, you also have the temporalis, masseter, sternocleidomastoid. So those would be the muscles of mastication and muscles of the neck. Muscles of the thorax, diaphragm, and it can also be shown this way. Internal intercostal, external intercostal, muscles of the abdominal wall, rectus abdominis, internal oblique, external oblique, transverse abdominis. This side will be deep and this side will be superficial. Muscles of the pectoral griddle. For the anterior arm, we have the pectoralis major, pectoralis minor, serratus anterior. For posterior shoulder, we have the trapezius, levator scapulae, latissimus dorsi, rhomboids, teres major, and the deltoid. Rotator cuff muscles, you have the teres minor, infraspinatus, supraspinatus, and the subscapularis. Muscles of the upper limb. For the anterior arm, you have the biceps brachii, brachialis. For posterior arm, you have the triceps brachii. Anterior forearm, which is superficial, you have the pronator teres. Flexor carpi radialis, palmaris longus. And then you have the flexor carpi ulnaris. Anterior forearm, which is intermediate, you have the flexor digitorum superficialis. That can also be deep, and that shows here the flexor digitorum superficialis. Anterior forearm deep, you have the flexor digitorum profundus, flexor pollicus longus. Posterior forearm superficial, brachioradialis, extensor carpi radialis longus, extensor carpi radialis brevis, and you also have the extensor digitorum, and last the extensor carpi ulnaris. Posterior forearm deep, supinator, and then you have the abductor pollicus longus. Muscles that move the pelvic girdle, you have the gluteus maximus, gluteus medius, tensor fascia latae, then you have the iliopsoas. Muscles of the lower limb. For anterior thigh, we have the vastus lateralis, rectus femoris, vastus medialis. Here you have the sartorius. And deep to the rectus femoris will be the vastus intermedius. Medial thigh, adductor longus, adductor brevis, adductor magnus, and then you have the gracilis. Posterior thigh, biceps femoris, semimembranosus, semitendinosus. Anterior leg, tibialis anterior, extensor hallucis longus, extensor digitorum longus. For lateral leg, we have the fibularis longus, fibularis brevis. Posterior leg, superficial, we have the gastrocnemius. And deep to the gastrocnemius will be the soleus. Posterior leg, which is deep, here you have the popliteus, tibialis posterior, flexor hallucis longus, and you have your flexor digitorum longus.